The Bold and the Beautiful was the first show that started filming post the sort of first wave of the pandemic last year, and they did some really interesting stuff. You can't do a soap opera without kissing, and so they came up with these workarounds. They would use mannequins, including the mannequin that played the dead body of Taylor when she was presumed dead after Sheila Carter shot her.
Hello and welcome to Shelf Love, a podcast and community that critically examines the meaning and structure of romantic love stories in pop culture. I'm your host, Andrea Martucci. And on this episode, Dr. Jodi McAlister is here to tell me about The Bold and the Beautiful. Jodi, thank you so much for joining me. Would you please share a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, hello. I'm so excited to be here on Shelf Love. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So I am a lecturer in writing, literature and culture at Deakin University in Melbourne, Australia. So I work on representations of love in popular culture, which means I do a lot of work on romance novels, as well as on things like soap opera, as we'll talk about today, and The Bachelor. And I'm also an author, so I've written the young adult paranormal romance trilogy Valentine. I've written an academic monograph called The Consummate Virgin, Female Virginity, Loss and Love in Anglophone Popular Literatures, which is very hard to say all at once. It was once upon a time my PhD, and I've got a new little book coming out in a couple of months called New Adult Fiction, which is about, surprise, new adult fiction. And then I've got a couple of rom-coms coming out next year. So they're called Here for the Right Reasons and Can I Steal You for a Second? And anyone who's ever watched reality TV will be able to guess what they're about very easily.
So Tell Me About is a new series that introduces me and you to new genres and subgenres of romantic stories across media. New to me and maybe new to you, the listener, the watcher. My guest will share how the genre's structure explores romantic love, what audiences expect from the love stories, and how these stories make us feel. Jodi, can you tell me about The Bold and the Beautiful?
I can, and you are going to regret that you asked this question because I can talk about The Bold and the Beautiful for a very long time. But to give you a brief overview of what it is, in case you have somehow missed hearing its name in the world, The Bold and the Beautiful is an American soap opera that's been running since 1987, and it follows the lives, loves, marriages, divorces, fights and reconciliations of three key families, the Forresters, the Logans, and the Spencers, and it's set in the world of high fashion in Los Angeles. And yeah, it's very dramatic. It's actually the youngest of the four remaining daytime soaps that are still on television. So I think General Hospital began in 1963, Days of Our Lives in 1965, and Young and the Restless in the 70s at some point. So at nearly 35 years old, The Bold and the Beautiful is a spring chicken as far as soap opera is concerned.
The Bold and the Beautiful is as old as I am, basically.
Yeah, it's about the same age as me as well.
Jodi, what was your first? What is the story of how you got introduced to The Bold and the Beautiful?
So I think my origin story as a soap opera viewer is very similar to a lot of people in that it was through my mum. So in Australia, when the soaps show in the 90s when I was growing up, Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless would be on in the middle of the day. So I used to watch them with my mum occasionally on school holidays once I was old enough to understand what was going on. We didn't really get General Hospital here, so that wasn't a big deal. But The Bold and the Beautiful was on then and still is now at 4:30 in the afternoon. So it was perfect. I've come home from school. I've put down my bag. Oh, the TV's on. I'm going to watch The Bold and the Beautiful. And I started when I was 12, probably watching in a serious, sustained way. And I didn't stop, ever. Now here I am, many years later.
So tell me your favorite romantic story from The Bold and the Beautiful. I did not even know it took place in Los Angeles. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like I'm starting to get the vibe here. So what is your favorite romantic arc or couple or I don't know. I literally don't even know.
I'm going to give you a couple, I think, because it's really hard to boil it down to just one. So in soap opera, there's a phenomenon called the super couple, which is a couple that breaks up and gets back together and breaks up and gets back together, but they're just inexorably intertwined for decades and decades. And so The Bold and the Beautiful has two classic ones in Ridge and Brooke and Ridge and Taylor, sort of two. There's a love triangle at the heart.
Ridge?
Ridge Forrester.
Is that short for something?
Nope, that's his name. You learn to just accept and roll with a lot of things in soap operas. Like his brother's name is Thorne Forrester.
Okay, so these are very like rugged American masculine names, I guess.
Yes, for these two fashion designers, the most notoriously rugged masculine field that there is.
Right.
Ridge and Brooke and Ridge and Taylor have never been like my favorite couples. I think when I started watching in the late 90s, I gravitated, strangely enough, to the younger characters. And there was another love triangle going on there when I started watching between Rick Forrester, who is the son of Eric Forrester, who is Ridge's dad, and Brooke, Ridge's girlfriend. Don't think about that too hard. And he was in a love triangle with Amber from the wrong side of the tracks, and Kimberly, who was a scion of the rival fashion dynasty, the Spectres. And Rick and Kimberly really wanted to be together, but it looks like Rick has, accidentally impregnated Amber, so he has to marry her. And it was just a lot of like teenage feelings and drama, and it led into this kind of epic, probably went for about 5 years in total, this saga of Rick and Amber's baby, which that baby died, I think. But then Amber, because she wanted to keep Rick, stole her cousin's baby, who she was giving it up for adoption. And then that baby's mom, Becky, wanted the baby back, as did the baby's father, Deacon. And then Amber and Deacon started sleeping together. And that baby had about 7 parents in the end. And it was just this epic, like, hot potato situation over this baby. Couldn't look away. That was what I watched all through my high school years, was what's going on with this baby. Little Eric, the baby was called. But if we move into the 2010s, we've got 2 new super couples now, Hope and Liam and Steffi and Liam. And Hope is Brooke's daughter with Deacon, and Steffi is Ridge and Taylor's daughter. And of course, they are rivals. They are their mothers made anew. And they're fighting over this terrible man, honestly, Liam, who's such a wet blanket. But Steffi, who is my favorite, you kind of declare allegiance to who your favorite is, has also had some really compelling other relationships. And she's got a new husband right now called Finn. And I'm very on board with Steffi and Finn. But oh no, it's just been revealed that his mother, his birth mother, is notorious supervillain Sheila Carter, who once shot Steffi's mother, and then Steffi's mother was presumed dead for 3 years because the actress left the show. Yeah, so much drama afoot there. That was a very long answer to that question, I'm sorry, but soap opera is really complicated.
Yes, especially given how long the storylines go on. I'm very curious about this because I have literally never watched a soap opera in my life. I have not watched one episode. And so I imagine that if I ever tried to explain like a long running series of romance novels and the characters and how they're intermingled, it would sound something like what you just, explained with all of these characters, where you're like, I cannot keep track. Like, what happened? Excuse me? And it's so interconnected, but you're along for the story. And so it's never like that recitation of things all in one go. It's just episodic. So
yeah.
Is it like a half-hour show every day? 5 days a week?
Yeah, so The Bold and the Beautiful is half hour. It airs here Monday to Friday, 4:30 in the afternoon. But the other soaps, I don't know about General Hospital because that's never aired here, so I've never seen it. But Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless are both an hour long, which probably says something about my capacity to engage with them. There's too much. I can't do 5 hours a week. 2.5 hours that I can do.
There are literally the constraints of production where if you have an hour to fill and you have to do this every day, that then you just have more characters and more storylines because you can't spend too much time with one character because there's just not enough time to film it.
And on constraints, actually, The Bold and the Beautiful was the first show that started filming post the sort of first wave of the pandemic last year. And they did some really interesting stuff where obviously they couldn't be within like 6 feet of each other for social distancing reasons, but you can't do a soap opera without kissing. And so they came up with these workarounds. One, if they need to do a kissing scene and they could bring in the actor's actual partner to be a body double, they would do that. Or if they couldn't do that, they would use mannequins, including the mannequin that played the dead body of Taylor when she was presumed dead after Sheila Carter shot her. And now Sheila Carter is Finn's mother, and drama, yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw something, you probably shared it on social media, which is why I saw it, because they would do the back of the head so you can't tell it's a mannequin, that kind of a situation, then they switch, and there's another mannequin on the other side.
Yeah, I think my favorite instance of it was the Bold and the Beautiful Twitter account, clearly a few months in, was like, we're getting away with this. And so they'll put up GIFs every now and again. And they put up a GIF that was just so clearly a mannequin kiss because the woman was still, like, so still. And it's like, oh dear, you've gift poor Lawrence St. Victor kissing this mannequin. That's going to follow him around the internet forever.
Passion. So what are the essential ingredients that define a soap opera kind of genre writ large? What do audiences expect from a love story in a soap opera?
Yeah, so often I think in the outside world, beyond the informed audience of Shelf Love, people tend to group romance novels and soap opera together because they're like, they're both for women, in scare quotes. They're both about love stories. They're kind of the same thing. But structurally, they are incredibly different because, as we all know, with romance novels, you're moving towards an ending the whole time. You're moving towards a happy ending, which is why when we get romance series, it's typically a different couple in each book because you've moved to that end point. Soap opera, on the other hand, evades ending. Like, Bold and the Beautiful's been going for 35 years. You can't have an ending if you want your show to keep going. So the plot is very cyclical. I read an article once and I've never been able to find it again. So sorry to whoever I am not citing here. And if someone knows it, please send it to me. But it essentially argued that structurally soap operas, musicals and porn are all really similar because they move to little climaxes and then they keep going. It goes, peak valley, peak valley, peak valley. And you evade ending. So when a couple gets together, you can be really, really happy about it, but they're not going to be happy for long because the story has to keep going. And so that really shapes the expectations of a love story. You're like, okay, my couple is together for now. Just say you're a big Ridge Brook shipper. You're like, okay, Bridge are together, finally.
Bridge.
Yeah, that is their couple name. Brooke has a daughter called Bridget that she named that when she thought it was Ridge's child, but it's actually the child of Eric, who is Ridge's dad. Don't think about it too hard.
Brerick. Brerick isn't as good as Bridget, so...
No, it's not as good, and certainly not as good at a name. Sorry to anyone out there called Brerick.
Who is it?
Ridge. Look, I don't really want to bother you. I couldn't go home. I tried, and it's just too empty there. It's so hard to believe that this is even happening. Guess that's why I had to rub my face in it.
What do you mean?
I was watching them today, Dad and Bridget. They were swimming together up at the pool. I should be glad, right? Grateful that Bridget has someone to take care of her and to give her all those things that she deserves. But I'm not. I'm angry. I know Dad is trying to include me, and I know this isn't his fault, but I see him taking my place in her life. I hate it. I hate that this is even happening. It makes me furious. Who do I blame? Brooke? Dr. Peters? God? Fate? It doesn't make any difference. It's not going to change anything. I'm still going to lose my daughter.
I think in romance we tend to think if couples get married, for instance, we're like, look, they're not going to get divorced. That's not how romance works. Brooke and Ridge have been married at least 10 times legally, and more times than that if you count the ones that were technically illegal because he was technically still married to Taylor, but she was presumed dead, which has happened twice. Relationships are cyclical. A couple will part and get back together and part and get back together and move on with other people, maybe have children with other people and then get back together. They flow together and apart in a very different way to what we see in romance fiction.
Yeah. Do viewers ever stop watching after the couple they like gets together because they're like, I don't want to watch them fall apart? Or is that unheard of? Because I would imagine the audience knows what they're getting into. Are they there for the together, break up? Do they ever really kind of crave that conclusion or resolution?
So, judging purely by kind of the discourse of fans, like reading Facebook comment threads and Twitter threads, people threaten to stop watching all the time. They're like, oh, Hope and Liam are together, just let them be happy. Whether they or not they actually do stop watching is another matter. I think people stop watching and then you can drift back into soap opera very easily because it's very expository as a form. You can always pick up what's happening quite easily. But I think they drift away more so when it gets boring than when, you know, their particular couple is breaking up. This is anecdata, not actual data, but soap operas work in cycles. So you're building to climaxes. And I think once the big climactic event has happened and, Hope and Liam have been reunited with their baby that was kidnapped, then you go into a lull. And I think sometimes in those lull periods where they're generating new storylines, people tend to drift away a little bit then and come back at the peaks. But as far as I'm aware, it's not so much to do with the couples breaking up and getting back together, because you know if they break up, they will get back together. Sometimes that's just the way it works.
Right. It almost seems like the times that seem like happy for now are the most boring.
Yeah, kind of. And so I think the longest soap opera marriage, as in two characters actually being married, I've ever witnessed is between Eric Forrester, who's kind of the patriarch of the Forrester family, and his current wife, Quinn. They've been married for 4 years in screen time. But in that time, she has made out a little bit with his son, Ridge, much to the chagrin of his then fiancée, Brooke. I think that's what point they were at their relationship at that point. And now she's having a scandalous affair with the Forrester Creations COO, Carter Walton, who's this hot younger man. And I support her because it's a great plot line. But yeah, marriages don't last long, but the connections between characters like Ridge and Brooke are always talking about their epic love story, failing to mention that they have broken up like at least 20 times.
So why do you love The Bold and the Beautiful? In particular, like, what do you love about how it explores romantic love? Or do you love it despite how it explores romantic love?
Well, I like it for different reasons than I like romance novels, put it that way. I don't watch The Bold and the Beautiful for a happily ever after because I know that's not what I'm in for. But there are a few reasons I like this, and one is just for the act of sitting down at 4:30 and watching it. So we don't tend to watch television now the way that soaps have traditionally been watched, which is why soaps are in an enormous downturn. So the last soap that was created was Passions, which premiered in 1999. So we're talking more than 20 years ago now. In the heyday of soaps in the 70s and 80s, I think there were as many as 19 soaps, and now only 4 are left on air. So this is a mode of viewing that's dying out. But for me, for the last more than 20 years now, sitting down at 4:30 to watch The Bold and the Beautiful was a sacred half hour when I could just like not care about anything else. I could turn my brain off to an extent because they will always explain to you what's happening. And if you miss an episode, you can catch up very easily. For example, when I was doing my PhD and I was writing my first novel, This Guy, Valentine, at the same time. So I was just working constantly all the time. But at 4:30 every day, I knew I could sit down and for half an hour I could watch The Bold and the Beautiful. And also, it's the point of connection with my mother. Like, we watch it together. She lives in a different city to me now. Like, I live in Melbourne. She lives in Wollongong, which is in New South Wales. Very far away, if you don't know Australian geography. But, like, we're always texting each other and talking about the fashion and, like, oh, definitely Sheila's going to kidnap Steffi and Finn's new baby. And, oh, could they have made that more obvious? And also, I'm a messy bitch who loves drama. I love spectacle, and The Bold and the Beautiful will give you spectacle like no one else. I love plots that are just wild and just completely bananas. And, you know, when you've got villainous secret mothers turning up at the reception of your wedding, then that's going to give you drama. That's going to give you spectacle.
Right, right. You kind of answered this already, but how do you feel when you watch The Bold and the Beautiful? It sounded like you were seeking an escape and sort of like a let me drift off into another world. Could you expound on that a little bit more?
So it's, for me, a reset moment in my day. So currently in Australia, we're in lockdown, for instance, and in Victoria, this is our 6th lockdown. We've been inside for a long time now, more than 200 days. And so when, you work in the place that you live, you need ways to break up your day. And so my work day now goes from 8:30 to 4:30. And at 4:30, I sit down and I watch The Bold and the Beautiful. And that's my reset moment, end of the day. But it's calming and it's reassuring, even though it's just all about the drama for me, because I know The Bold and the Beautiful is never going to ask anything of me, put it that way, even though for several years it kind of did, because I was recapping it for money for a website. But at least now, The Bold and the Beautiful doesn't ask anything with me. It just gives me pure, unadulterated drama. And that is all I want, really.
Other people's drama? Not your own?
Other people's drama, yeah. Like, I am never going to get involved in a messy corporate showdown where 2 fashion lines duel on the runway. That's not really my scene. But I love to watch that on The Bold and the Beautiful. Give me the fashion duels.
Right. I'm thinking about this question, what are your top recommendations? And thinking about the structure of soap operas and The Bold and the Beautiful, and it sounds like it's not the kind of thing where you go back and start at the beginning and binge from season 1 from when it debuts. It sounds like the kind of thing you jump in midstream and it catches you up. Answer this question in whichever way makes sense for you, but what are your recommendations for people to get started with, either The Bold and the Beautiful or with soap operas? And where can they find it? Is it the kind of thing where you kind of have to have TV and watch it when it comes out, or can you stream it later? I literally don't know.
Well, I don't know about in the US, so I assume you can probably stream it via the streaming service of whichever network it's on. I think it's NBC. I could be totally wrong. Sorry, I don't know much about American television. But here you can definitely stream it. It airs on a channel here called Channel 10. You can stream it via their website, and they've got, I think, about a year's worth of episodes going back into 2020. But also they've got some classic episodes, which can be a good way to kind of dip into some of the most dramatic moments if you know kind of some exciting plot lines. And some of the classic ones will be on YouTube as well because they're iconic. So if you want to get started in soap, the best way is just to start watching, honestly, because you will pick it up pretty fast and you can ask your friend Jodi to explain anything to you that you don't understand. I delight in explaining the plot of The Bold and the Beautiful to people. But if you wanted an iconic episode to watch, there's one from, I think, 2009 where Ridge and Taylor are getting married for the mumble time. And Brooke is desperate to interrupt it to get her man back, and she has to do a dramatic kind of chase to the wedding, and she's on a horse, and she rides in on this horse, and the celebrant is just about to declare Ridge and Taylor man and wife, and he says, "I now pronounce you man," and then Brooke bursts in and he goes, "Horse?" and it's, yeah, "I now declare you man and horse" is just an iconic Bold and the Beautiful moment. 10 out of 10.
I love that. It sounds like they have a sense of humor. This is winking to the audience, right?
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Oh, I love it. Well, Jodi, that sounds super awesome. I think sometimes it's easier when you haven't experienced something before to have a nice guide to kind of give you a feel for what it is, and it makes it a little bit easier to take that first step in.
Absolutely. So at the moment, we've just got the return of Supervillain Sheila Carter. So if you need me to explain Sheila's list of crimes to you, I can absolutely do that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Give me the short list of Sheila's crimes because now I'm really curious.
Okay, so The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful are actually sister soaps. So Sheila started on The Young and the Restless, where she was involved in a dramatic baby switch situation. So she and another woman, Lauren, were both pregnant at the same time. I think Sheila's baby died and she stole Lauren's baby, and it was all very dramatic. Then she went to The Bold and the Beautiful, where she worked as a nanny for a little while, but then that was when Brooke and Eric were married, and so she was the nanny for Rick and Bridget, who were their 2 children. But then she she decided she wanted Eric, and so she tried to seduce him and succeeded to an extent. She poisoned Stephanie Forrester at one point, and then very dramatically she shot Taylor. and also shot Brooke. And Brooke survived, but Taylor didn't until 3 years later when the actress wanted to come back to the show and, and mysteriously was alive again. Her second presumed death. The first one was a plane crash. But now Sheila has returned because her long-lost son, Finn, is married to Steffi Forrester, the daughter of Taylor, who Sheila shot, and the granddaughter of Stephanie, who Sheila tried to poison. And she's like, aha, finally I have an in with the Forrester family because Steffi and Finn have a new baby, Hayes, which is Taylor's maiden name. And yeah, so she's trying to get her hooks into the Forrester family again, and oh, no one's happy about that.
Sheila sounds fun.
Sheila is rad. She is a great supervillain. So I think, we talked about the super couple before. Shows often have their supervillain. So probably the most notorious one is Stefano DiMera on Days of Our Lives. Days of Our Lives isn't full paranormal, but it will kind of play with the mystical and the magical and the really, really spectacular a little bit more than The Bold and the Beautiful. So Stefano has done some very, very weird shit in his time. He's kidnapped a lot of people. There was a doppelganger situation. There was an island where all the doppelgangers lived while someone was brainwashed into being a serial killer, I think. I don't know Days of Our Lives as well as I know Bold and the Beautiful, but Stefano, an iconic supervillain, and Sheila is the equivalent for The Bold and the Beautiful. She's done so many crimes.
Ooh, it's okay. I mean, it sounds fun. So, Jodi, where can people find you and your work online?
So my website is jodimacalister.com.au, so JODIMCALISTER. You can also find me on Instagram under that handle, but the social media platform I am most active on is Twitter, where I am at JodiMCA, so JODIMCA. And if you ask me there, I will explain any plot point of The Bold and the Beautiful you want to you in more detail than you could have ever desired.
So I will add all of the links to find Jodi and her work in the show notes, in YouTube, or on my website, shelflovepodcast.com. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today, and don't forget to subscribe to Shelf Love on YouTube to get updates when new episodes are available. Jodi, thanks so much for being here to tell me about The Bold and the Beautiful.
My pleasure, anytime.
If you enjoy this content, you can support Shelf Love on Patreon, starting at just $3 a month. And you can check that out at patreon.com/shelflove. This episode, plus nearly 100 other episodes that are not available on YouTube, are also available as audio podcasts. You can search for Shelf Love, that's 2 words, on your favorite podcast app.